All right, hello everybody. It's Joel here again. I'm an electrician at Power-Tek, and today we're talking about training for power elevated work platforms for scissor lift. Specifically today, we're showing you the scissor lift that Power-Tek owns. It's made by XMG, and the model is Xg1930Ac. So the 930 number just means that it can extend. The maximum platform height is 19 feet. And the width of the unit is 30 inches wide. So that makes it really nice for getting in doorways. So today, actually, we have one of these lifts at our baseline site. And I took some video of one of the electricians there, Brendan Monahan, and he's doing some work from one of these lifts. And he's going to go through with us some of the PPE that we need. Of course, every time you're going to a Power-Tek job site, you're going to wear your regular hard hat, safety glasses, safety boots. But we're going to talk about some of the more specific safety requirements that you'll need while using this lift. Here's Brendan.
Today I got Power-Tek's lift on site. It's an Xg1930Ac. Running pipe today. So in order to operate this, you got to be certified. You got to make sure you have your proper PPE, hard hat, safety glasses, and work boots. You want to make sure that you have travel restraint. Make sure that your lanyard is non-shock absorbent. Doesn't have any frays. Put it back on our D-ring. Inspect our harness, of course, for fraying, cuts, expiry date, inspection date. And you want to make sure that when you're putting your harness on, it's tight enough. Tighter the better. Of course, you don't want to cut off any circulation, but you want to ensure that you can slide your hand down in, make a fist, and you can't pull it out. Make some adjustments if necessary. We get paid to work safe.
So it's always good to wear the proper PPE, have your proper harness on, and like Brian said, when we're using our scissor lift, we want actually a travel restraint harness. Because we have the walls, we don't need to worry about fall arrest if we're not climbing over the rails. So we don't climb over the rails, we don't lower the rails while we're on this platform and we're extended working from it. The next thing we have to do before we get started is we have an elevated work platform pre-use checklist. So with this checklist, we're going to get it from the front of the lift, and we're going to take it out and we're going to go through the items one by one. So on this checklist, we have to check our signage, we have to check our tires, make sure there's no damage, make sure they look good. If they need to be fixed, we need to mark that down and not use it. We need to check our hoses. We can open up the side compartments and we can check our fluid levels. We can check our hydraulic fluids, and actually if we open the other side, we can check our batteries. We can do a voltage test if we need to make sure. We can turn on the unit. Once we've checked everything in both sides, we checked our beacon light that it works. We can check our controls. So here we can operate controls from the ground. To give it a little bit during our test, we can turn it to the bottom, and that's going to mean our ground control is working, the console down here at the bottom of the unit. And in that mode, we can check to make sure that it extends and that it comes back down, and we can operate from the bottom. So in case we need to do a rescue procedure, we can actually let somebody down from the bottom there. If this doesn't work in the case of an emergency, there's also an emergency release that will allow you to pull the release, and that will bring somebody to the ground as well. Also, from the ground here, we have a on-off switch. So we can hit that emergency stop right there, that on-off switch, and that will shut it down. We can do this in case of emergency if there's a problem. While we're working on these lifts, we should always have a ground guy. We should have somebody to look out for us from the ground in case of emergency. Before you get on this lift, you want to familiarize yourself with the owner's manual. The owner's manual is going to give you specifics on if something needs to be fixed, then this is what you need to do. If there's any issues with that, you may find the answer there if you're having issues with your pre-checklist. Otherwise, please contact the office and they'll arrange to have this lift fixed. You don't want to use any unsafe equipment. Alright, so now you've done your pre-inspection, you have all your PPE on, you've looked around. What else do you need? Well, we actually need to have our area secured. You need to look at the area that you're working on. In this case, we're working on poured concrete, flat slab, and that's a fine area for extending. You need to be careful. We can't extend our lift in uneven conditions, okay? We need to look around. We need to put barriers up. Barriers, there's overhead work going on, and to keep people from walking underneath our work area so that we're not putting them or ourselves at risk. Okay, so now we've got all our proper PPE, we've cordoned off our area, we've checked that the area we're going to be driving is safe and even, and we are ready to get on the lift. Now we need to make sure as we're getting on the lift and off the lift, we maintain 3 points of contact, just like you're climbing on a ladder, okay? Getting on and off the lift, be careful. It sounds silly, but you know, I've seen people fall off getting on and off the lift and twist their ankle or hurt themselves. So it's something to be mindful of. Now when you're getting on, you need to make sure that you're on your lower console, that the switch is to upper console control so that you have control on top of the lift. Okay, so another special feature of this lift that many scissor lifts have is actually the ability to extend by almost 3 feet. So if you need to reach over top of something, you can drive right up to it, extend your lift, and then extend the platform an additional 3 feet. This is very handy in certain situations and allows you to reach certain work areas that you wouldn't be able to access otherwise. So here Brennan is showing us how from the ground we just need to push that little pedal and then it's easy to slide forward and back. And if we climb up on top of the lift, then we can use our foot for the pedal and the handles, side rails, and we can slide forward and just as easily slide back. Now this is very important that we don't extend the platform, we don't add planks, between our platform and another surface, we don't try to add any platforms between lifts or beyond the lifts. The workspace that we have is what is contained within these 4 sides, the guardrails. Please don't work beyond those, what you can safely reach without leaning over or putting yourself at risk. So, on this lift, we get onto this lift, and we have a list up at the front above where we got our pre-use checklist. Before we're in that area, we have many different warnings. It is really good to familiarize yourself with all these warnings because there's quite a few of them. And there's lots of info that's very specific to this lift, and then some that's general to others. But you want to be careful, for instance, to keep it on flat ground, not to climb out of the lift. Many things here. Just familiarize yourself with the danger here. Have a look for yourself. Make sure you know what's at stake. You'll also find things like the capacity of this lift. It is a capacity of 507 pounds. Don't exceed it. Think about you and your co-worker, plus if you're bringing up 100 pounds of tools, you might be up over the limit. Okay, so actually one time, Adam and I got stuck up on a lift. I don't think it was, I don't think we were over the limit, but maybe we were, we're not small guys, the two of us. So now Brennan is going to actually show you the controls of this lift from the control box up top, and that will teach you how to actually do the driving. So here we go.
I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of our control box here. We have our emergency stop. We have our lower and raise option and our mobilize option. We have our horn. And depending on the environment around us, we might want to move the lift slowly, not too fast. We have our battery life level, 6 bars. Obviously, if it's lower than 6, you need to plug it in and charge it. I'll show you how to use the joystick. Immobilize option, forward is down, backwards is up. Now we have an interlock trigger right behind our handle here. In order to operate the lift, because moving forward or backwards, unless we're holding that trigger button, it won't move. We steer the wheels left to right, of course, with 2 small triggers up top.
Okay, so Brennan's gone over the controls. We know how to go up and down, we know how to go forwards and backwards, and we know how to steer left and right. So now what we need to do, we need to be very careful when we're driving. We need to be watching for any kind of obstacles. We need to be watching for things we can drive over that would make one side uneven, and we need to be watching for holes. We need to be watching everywhere we're going, surveying to make sure we're not going to hit anybody or hit anything. Okay? We've already talked about how our area is going to be cordoned off. We have our signage in place. And before we lift, we need to look all around the edge of our rails. Just because it's safe to lift right where we're standing doesn't mean our entire lift is not going to hit anything. So when you're lifting up, look around. Look around you, look where you're coming, and only go up to the height that you need to work at. All right? Usually, we do not drive well extended, if at all possible. In some situations, you may drive slowly well extended, but we do not drive anywhere that will not be 100% even and flat well extended. We need to be very careful not to put ourselves at risk. Another thing we do not do is add a ladder or something else to climb up and gain extra height on our platform. That is dangerous and can make it so that we can fall over the rails. Other things to be aware of while you're driving this power elevated work platform. A power elevated work platform must not be driven in a raised position close to holes, depressions, trenches, or any similar hazards. A PEWP must not bear more than its rated working load, and we know the load of this one is 507 pounds. When using it to lift materials, we need to make sure that they're firmly secured and not extending past the edge. Overhanging loads must not be lifted. It must not be used for pulling, pushing, or dragging materials. And only the manufacturer's platform extension devices shall be used. We talked about that a little bit already, but we don't add anything else to try and reach. We work from this platform. So we're done for the day. We've used the lift today for our work, and we're cleaning up. What we want to do is put the lift away in a place where we can park it out of the way and we can plug it into charge. So the charging cord is at the back. We can plug it in and we can keep that charged so that it's ready to use with a full battery the next morning. Another feature that this lift has is a GFCI plug up on the deck platform. If we want to use this GFCI, we can find the cable for it in one of the sides at the bottom. It's all rolled up right now, but you can unroll it, cut this zip tie, and actually have a bit of cord that you can run out the unit. The important thing to remember is when we're plugged in, so we have 120 power on the platform, we do not want to move the lift forward and backwards because we do not want to pull on the cord or run it over.
So that's our lift, guys. Showing you pretty much everything, all I know about it. Pretty good piece of equipment. Now we just want to make sure that after every use, of course, we make sure to sweep off and clean the deck of debris to ensure that nothing gets jammed or stuck underneath our platform extension. Thanks.